So we will start this meeting. I'll read the top portion here. Notice is hereby given that the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board of the City of Alpine, Texas will hold a meeting at 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 11th, 2022 at City Council Chambers located at 803 West Holland Avenue and via Zoom for the purpose of considering the attached agenda. Meeting login details may be found on the city website 24 hours prior. This notice is posted pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. Action items approved at this meeting will go to the City Council for consideration. So we will call this meeting to order, and we do have a quorum with 3 physical members present. So we will move on to number 3 and open up the floor to citizen comments. We do have a citizen here, so it's a miracle. Thank
It's
you.
always a first.
Sure.
Good evening. Nice to see everybody. I think just to summarize, we were talking about Nopalito Park and using it as a dark sky park. But in my opinion, it's a beautiful little park. It's a wonderful little pocket, but the amount of sky that you have is very limited by the structures that surround it and the trees immediately adjacent to it.
I was just gonna see if you could introduce yourself first.
Oh,
just
I'm
so
sorry.
people know. Sorry.
Sorry. I'm Laura Gold. I live over in Ward 3. Okay, thanks. I'm sorry about that. The location of the park is good. It's nice next to a little river. It's real convenient in town. It's ideal for something else, and perhaps even signage about dark sky stuff, or some other thing. But I think it would be it wouldn't serve the greatest purpose to fund or to spend money on it and try to turn it into a dark sky park. It's just too small. I think you'd have to wait a long time to watch the constellations pass overhead and not be able to see the horizon and look for different things, and to be able to do do justice to holding an event. There are other locations. We're kind of looking around. We don't have anything yet. So if anybody has something they want to donate, land in the ETJ or something that has a little bit more land around it would be ideal. Let's see, what else is there? Do you guys have any questions?
I would just put a little background into it as well, in that Ms. Gold's worked with Chris Ruja, and I believe you were the one that kind of led the night skies to get us to the reserve.
I was part of that team. Yeah, but I did a lot of the groundwork for it. And I've also been through the city several times. As part of the project, we have to measure the amount of light at night, or darkness. I call it the darkness measure of different locations around in the area. And our team went around to several locations, and including in the city and in the surrounding counties, to measure the darkness of the sky. And we continue to do that as part of the ongoing science behind maintaining the dark sky reserve. So I did, I've gone to Cockernaut, and there's options maybe, but it's tricky with timing, with the stadium lights, and there's all sorts of logistics things that can challenge that. So we're still looking for a good park. A dark sky park should be used for specific events. That's my opinion. And there are other locations, so we just have to kind of work and see what kind of rises to the surface. I highly suggest, though, because I'm afraid of losing any kind of park that the city has right now, because you never get them back. And so my one suggestion would be that y'all hold workshops in the city, and invite the community to attend a workshop where you can have a give and take of ideas, and you can present what the problems are, and then you can convene and then come back later and go through the process, so that you have broad community input, support, interest, some kind of a record of what your goals are. Because it's a neat town. We need the parks. I don't really have anything else to add to that.
Perfect.
You guys have any questions?
I know that we've got the dark sky preserve all the way around us.
Yes.
And do you have any more word on that event center? north of
Nothing.
town?
No,
No.
it's still up in the air. I haven't heard anything more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know about what I'm talking about, the event center? It's right before you get to TXDOT on the east side of the road. She knows what I'm talking about. It's just an open field, but there's a slab out there.
No,
And we just don't know who owns it or what. We're trying to find that out.
Yeah.
That would be a great place.
it's either the city or the county that owns it.
It's in county. It's the
Then
county.
it's the county.
land. Yeah. Yeah, we're working on that spot too.
That would be a great
That's
place.
something that's one of the options that we're kind of hoping to get more information on. So,
I think that's good. I know that was kind of a push to find a spot for the park. So
yeah,
I think there's a lot of parties involved and
Yeah.
doing it right, taking a little time doing it right is probably the way to do it. So
yeah. I would, if you're gonna spend the money on something, do it right. You know, do it with a 50-year plan ahead or a 100-year plan ahead, you know, something that you really, the community will be happy to invest in and help. I don't know, I can see it as becoming an education center, you know, for the
Oh, yeah.
schools and whatnot. So anyway, so thank you for
Awesome.
the time. Appreciate it.
thank you for the comments.
Thank you.
All right, then we will move on to number 4, the approval of minutes from the previous meeting. So we'll see if there is a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 13th, 2022 regular meeting minutes with the amendment that was made to add adjourned on number 7 on board comments.
Perfect. And is there a second? All right. Then we will vote for the motion with the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it is unanimous. Then that is approved. So we'll go on to number 5, information and discussion items. I was just gonna discuss a couple things. Oh, I saw Robert's not in. So the update from Big Bend Parks and Recreation for Kids. I was gonna just fill you guys in case you weren't able to make it. We had an ice cream social on May 1st down at Medina Park. They had a good turnout for that, elected new board members. So got some new board members in there, some new blood that's anxious to get things moving. And they are going to start to fundraise for the splash pad again and may start showing movies again as far as a fundraiser for that.
Nice.
Spoke to Marcy again real quick. I was going to let you know, and there's going to be an article in the paper
Oh, good.
for it tomorrow.
Has there been any money accumulated for this at all yet?
You know, I don't think there has. The city was going to put in 50,000, but I don't know if that has been put to the side yet because it's such a future project. And then they were going to do private donations, which I think that there probably is some money. I think that started with Ecta Escobar back then. So there may be something. I will reach out and actually find out the answer to that.
So I'm just curious, when they meet, the Big Bend Parks and Recreation Board, and I think it would be nice if they would, I guess they're part of a branch off of the city board, right? Us?
I think they're just a 501c that we kind of work with.
Oh,
And since I've been here about 2 or 3 years, they've always had a spot on the agenda.
So, I mean, I was wondering if whoever takes their minutes, if they can send them to you and then you to us, just so that we know that we're in the same boat or
Perfect.
whatever, you know, just, it would be nice,
Definitely.
just so in case, you know, somebody can make it from their board.
It is true. And then we could put that in for documentation.
Yes.
Okay, good call. We will get that done.
communication between people. Oh, my God.
And one question I was going to ask Gio, I guess I may need to ask him at in a meeting after this.
Mhm.
When, so that now that they have a new board, one member from their board will be on our board, will be a member up here with us. I don't think they've done a vote or anything on that to find out who that person will be,
Okay.
that volunteer. So in the future, that will be coming and we'll probably have a new member on here. I was going to reach out to Gio and see if that actually comes back through. I know when you're with the city, you fill out an application
Mhm.
for it and you kind of go through that. We'll see if that goes the same way.
Okay.
for that, what the process is.
Yeah, I don't think it does, but I could be,
We may just appoint them.
yeah, they just appoint them, but things change.
True. Okay, we got that there. So that was,
That is a good question.
see him. And I think we got plenty of time to figure out when they do get somebody in.
Okay.
Gio, quick question if you have a second.
Yes.
So on Big Bend Parks and Recreation for Kids has new board members on their end. We will ultimately end up having a member here on our board. Will they need to fill out an application like a member from any other board or?
Yeah, online. It's better. Well, it's better to get either with a council member directly or fill out the application and I'll forward it to them because the council member will have to sponsor it.
Okay, so it is just like any other one. And I think we have plenty of time, so we'll get there when we get there. Updates from Keep Alpine Beautiful. Spoke with Adelina, and the Cub Scouts cleaned the creek on April 10th over the past month, and 33 volunteers walked a mile of the creek, collected 260 pounds of trash.
It looks good too.
Nice. 60 pounds of recycled material, and she also had cleanups with the Sol Ross football team. They got 840 pounds of trash throughout the city. I thought that was pretty wild.
Wow.
I was wondering, there's a park over where I live, not a park, a creek, and it is really bad, but I think that is county. So I think,
I think it is.
so if it's county, I think we need to reach out to the county and see about getting it cleaned up and, because it's gotten really bad.
Does county have anyone that would clean up?
They have a roads and bridges crew, but I'm not too sure if that's something they do. I would think probably.
Yeah, because it's becoming dangerous.
Okay.
I think that's the one with squatters in there, isn't it? There's people living.
That's
under
the
that
one,
bridge.
okay.
They're
I read
increasing
about that.
Really?
drive-bys and everything happening.
I also
So-
saw where they have a position at the recycle center open.
2, I think, right?
Two, yes, two.
I'm not too sure.
I know it's one, but
Yeah. Yes, it's got dangerous over there.
Then I guess I'll mention that to Megan, and maybe I'm sure she would know who would be able to fix that or check into it.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, if people are going on, for a funeral, there's just stuff everywhere now there. It's horrible. The weeds, they're bad.
I guess,
Thank you.
any other comments on the Keep Alpine Beautiful? Or-
That's amazing. She does a great job.
Definitely. So Robert is not able to make the meeting today. One question, and I think Karen was asking the same question I was going to ask, and Gio may have an answer for it. Has the city been curtailing water as far as within parks? I've had a couple people ask about the grass.
My understanding, yes. Right now, since we're in the drought and it hadn't rained, we haven't been watering the parks.
And is that, I think I had reached out before, when water levels go up or down, being in Marfa back in the day, they said that the water table never really changed. When y'all are rationing out water for the city, is that typically from, where is that because the water table is changing or the?
Honestly, I'm not too sure.
Okay. I was wondering, I'm just kind of wondering on that decision. So, water's important.
maybe we should get a member of the water department here for a meeting. Answer questions.
Okay. I guess any other questions with parks or? All right. Couple of other things then, just to get through. D was discussion with city staff regarding procedural items, questions, and recent parks and recreation related items. So with these, one item that I think that I wanted to put on the Parks Board's mind before the next meeting was the city is currently discussing, I guess, budget and everything and getting ready for that. So I was going to see the board members' ideas on that, where We're currently doing a project with, to kind of get a shade structure over Coconut. That was with a budget we inherited, so there's no money in that from the city side. Saying that, if we wanted to have one or two smaller projects, how would that process, does that go through Eddie, the director, then to kind of say, if possible, when you're discussing that with Megan, to here's two projects that we think would be beneficial to the city from the park side. If you can fight for a little money for those projects, so it's allocated within that budget.
I think it would be either Robert or a council member.
Okay.
Probably a council member
Council
would be
member,
better.
that's what it
Yes.
goes to.
But I mean, you can certainly engage with Robert and let him know that that's something that you all would want to see, or, an improvement that you think would benefit the parks. But yeah, council would probably be better off.
Okay, and has that happened in the past over the time that you've been here, as far as or feedback from the board getting placed into the budget for things that they find?
Not in the parks board, from what I've seen. Typically, most of the action is going to come from a council member. For example, Councilor Olivas had wanted improvements in Centennial Park. That's in his board. And it was a discussion, and the council decided to allocate money. I think they allocated near 20,000 or so.
Was that for the lights? Or
Now, unfortunately, those improvements never got done.
Right.
The money was allocated, but at the time, for whatever reason, city administration didn't proceed with that project.
Okay.
And it was reallocated elsewhere during the next budget meetings.
So I guess the one thing I was going to mention to the board, and we'll follow up with members that aren't here, is if there is, and I was speaking to city management here and everything else on the strategy and the vision that is within the master parks plan. Kind of looking through that, there's a whole bunch of smaller things like ADA improvements or shade at the dog park. So there's a whole bunch of projects like that. I was going to see if we could each look at that master parks plan, and then something that you find, if you think that would be a project, if that was the number we were dealing with is 20,000, and we split that 20,000 with one part, 20,000 with another. Personally, I'm not too worried about the ward as long as stuff is happening within the park system to do improvements. So if y'all have ideas or anything else like that, I'd say let's get together before the next meeting and say, if you think this would be a good use of money for American Legion or Pueblo Nuevo or some of the others, or any of the constituents that you guys know, or anything else. I just don't want us to not earmark money within the budget, because that's such a killer of,
Use it or lose it.
and then we may have the vision and the idea, but if we don't have the money, then
We certainly want to make sure that it was, something you can get the council passionate about as well. Because actually, I'm not sure 20,000 was the correct figure, but I can tell you that I'm pretty sure that money came from the maintenance budget in parks. They did for that, or allocated it for that project. So it's likely that it would come from somewhere else. So you want to make sure it's a good project, and council would be.
okay, because they're stealing from Peter to pay Paul
I mean, it would just come from somewhere else.
from other section. And on that, it coming from maintenance, does that mean it could be being pulled from roads or something else? Does that fall under
I
maintenance?
don't foresee that happening, being that roads is a huge council priority, but I mean, it's possible. It's just really dependent on the budget process, but now would be the time to start talking to the council, since it's early in the process right now.
Beautiful.
Yes, we also need to look at the budget. Right now, I can't remember at this moment how much the Parks Board had. I mean, if I needed to go back and look at my papers, I do have those.
Budgets are online, so you can just go pull that up.
Check that out. And I'm sure that they'll look too, hopefully, where they see what was in the previous year and everything else. Like that. Okay. That was one thing. So if we can look at, and they're starting that budget process. Is there any, when does that get finalized or ratified by the city?
Oh, it's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
So we have
So it's a long
through
process.
August.
Right now, we had the priorities and goals workshop last night. That was to kind of solidify what the department heads wanted, what the council envisioned, et cetera. See what we can move forward as far as priority in that process. So it's just gonna, from here on out, be planning with the different directors and determining what's of importance and what needs to be budgeted for. And there will likely be workshops for the council, and of course, citizens can attend and make comments and whatnot. And then after that, there's going to be a couple meetings to approve it at least as well. And that's near August timeframe.
Yeah, fiscal, yeah. Because starting in October, right?
Yes, the new one will start in October, so certainly by September, we'd want some sort of idea. And per our charter, we need it passed by September 15th, I think.
Perfect. So that's plenty of time to kind of figure out what we found important. And I would love if we can get that in the budget and hopefully not ask for the world, but just enough to even jumpstart one small project or two small projects a year would be great.
And a couple of Band-Aids maybe.
Yeah. Okay, on any other questions or ideas for D? All right, we'll move on to E, discussion with city staff regarding workshops, discussion items, and citizen engagement. So the one thing in there that I was gonna check with is, this was gonna be a quick meeting, but wanted to verify with Geo, what would be the process to set up a workshop? We wanna make sure that we actually get that set up before the next meeting. And like you said, at 5:30, if that's right before our meeting and everything else.
I mean, it really wouldn't be too difficult. Y'all have already expressed interest in wanting a workshop done, so essentially, as long as you remind me when we're doing the agenda, we'll do it similar to the council agenda, it's just at a workshop at the very beginning. And then immediately after, begin the regular meeting if there's any action items. If there's not, you can do just the workshop, and just have that in lieu of your regular meeting.
Oh, really? Okay.
But other than that, you would want to just get the word out, social media, radio, etc.
Right.
And I would definitely explain to the public what the purpose would be. Like, if you're going to be discussing the park prioritization, I think that would be critical to include, because that might be something that would get good attendance.
That would be a good idea.
Okay, perfect. So we just need to get it on the agenda to you, and if there's no action items, then we can just have the workshop.
Yes,
Okay, and the minutes doesn't count as an action item.
it does.
Okay,
So, I mean, we don't necessarily have to approve the minutes at
okay,
the next meeting either, especially if it's just a workshop. We can always put that off to the meeting after. Unless you prefer to have, if you have more than just the minutes, I'd recommend obviously doing a regular meeting right after.
and I guess that regular meeting could be super quick and easy. We basically have the workshop. That's 90% of what we're doing and discussing. Then we fall into the regular meeting, accept the minutes and adjourn, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, I like that.
sounds like the quickest meeting ever, right?
That's a banner thing. We can do that. We had a citizen today, so we're on a roll.
Right.
One question I wanted to add, and for the question for the board is, and Geo as well, what should be placed in that workshop? Can we discuss everything at that workshop? Could we fit in the discussing alcohol in the parks as well as park prioritization altogether?
Okay.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then
the forms.
in the forms,
Yeah.
the ordinances, event planning?
And when discussing the alcohol, we need to think of something about maybe a deposit or something like that, because
Yeah,
there
like
will be
if,
cleanup involved.
we go through that form, that would, that needs to be on the agenda, and that way we can just go through each line item or whatever that's on that form and just.
Is there anything then that you guys would say that y'all want to make sure y'all have on the workshop so I can write it down to
No, that's my
Like Jill
priority.
said, prioritization, we need that for sure.
park prioritization?
Yes. And maybe start getting feedback on, I don't care about alcohol one or the other, but
There needs to
just
be
getting,
consistency.
just getting it on a per case basis, I know other people want it, but
Chris Ruggiero last night spoke to that.
yeah. And, to me,
Well, it's very inconsistent.
but then again, you've got to think, and I'm not trying to be, I'm just playing devil's advocate. once you introduce alcohol into the mix, then you're gonna have to have police out there. And then you're gonna have, to me, I would have a set time, because if you don't, then you're gonna have inebriated people. And there's children around all the time at Coconut. But that's just my concern.
What I might try to do then for you guys is, sometimes I'm pretty late on getting these agendas. I'm gonna set a time period of 2 weeks, and I'll have everything out there. I'll have that agenda to Geo within 2 weeks, and that way we have 2 more weeks to, if you want to research alcohol things or
Right,
anything
right.
from other parks, and then we can discuss those at that workshop and just have that big
Can
conversation.
you send us an email about that and I can start,
I'll try to be 2 weeks in advance of what I am.
Sounds
usually.
good. I know you're busy, dude.
So we got alcohol park prioritization, ordinances, and event planning. I'm gonna put all 4 of those on that
Sounds good.
thing.
Sounds good.
And then,
We're making progress.
and we're quick, man. The last one I was gonna ask with citizen engagement and discussion items was in ordinances. To check just with Geo, is there anything in the ordinance of like, because of that issue with Javelina, I believe down in Medina on fecal matter and dog waste? But that was Javelina, is it? There's nothing in the ordinance.
No, our parks and recreation ordinances aren't very thorough. So there's not much in there at all. You know, there are, what I explained, a couple meetings ago, just about rules for certain parks. There's not uniform guidelines or anything like that. So there's nothing about fecal matter or anything that I'm aware of.
Well, don't we have like, I mean, maybe not in the parks ordinance, but I think I remember something on the animal.
There is like
Stuff.
good enforcement, like, fecal matter and,
But yeah, that's
other
usually for
blights
dogs and things, right?
being a public nuisance, so
Right.
just in general,
Yeah,
it's against health and safety codes.
Okay.
and I mean, if you're walking your dog, you're supposed to pick up their poop and not
I'll
just.
find that ordinance and send y'all emails about it, and then we can discuss it.
Perfect,
Is that all right?
thank you.
And that falls under the Animal Advisory Board, or is that?
It's in the code, there's something in
I
the
think
code of
so.
ordinances about it.
Yeah, but I think
There's
it's under
certainly
the
something
animal,
about
right?
public nuisance.
And animals in there, I'll look in there, I'll find the ordinance, because I know what he's talking about. And I've looked up a lot of ordinances. So,
Perfect.
yeah, so let me make myself a note here.
And then if that's not us, we can forward it over to them. And
Yeah, because that is good. I mean, that would also, yeah, because, I mean, they're letting dogs loose even at Pueblo Nuevo, and they're gonna end up destroying the trees.
so that is good to know that that didn't even dawn on me that Animal Advisory Board is another arm of what could handle things. I guess any other items to discuss on E? No? And no action items. I guess we will move on to board comments. Anything, Karen, or
No.
anything, Lucy?
No.
Perfect. And the only thing I was going to mention is a conversation I had. I worked with Eddie recently. It's a pleasure to work with him at Coconut. Mentioned a bunch of good ideas. And the other one was he had mentioned, I think would be a great idea, and this very early in the stages of the splash pad, of tying the splash pad and the development into with the pool.
Yes.
So that and in the master parks plan, one of the things that it asked for an aquatic center. I don't know if we'll ever have a full aquatic center or really what that is. Grew up in the
We
desert.
could
So
just start it off with that.
I feel like that's a
I
great.
found the ordinance, by the way.
Okay.
So it is under, sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
It's okay.
It is under public nuisances designated, and that's in the animal ordinances. It says the following shall be considered a public nuisance and unlawful. The keeping of any animal which causes continual noise or frequent or long continued noise means noise pollution, unwanted or excessive sound. Also, the keeping of any animal in such a manner as to endanger the public health or as to disturb neighbors by the accumulation of droppings and intrusible materials which cause foul and offensive odors. And then we scroll down to item 6 in that section. It says dog waste shall be immediately removed by placing said matter in a sealable container and thereafter disposing of it in a trash receptacle, sanitary disposal unit or other closed or sealed refuse. So that's in the animal, keeping animals section.
And the enforcement of that, does that come to code enforcement from the city?
It's from the animal, it would actually be from animal services.
Gotcha. So if there was an issue with that, the citizen would reach out to animal services?
Well, they'd reach out to APD, the non-emergency line, and they
Right.
could dispatch an animal.
APD, gotcha.
So Gio, I'm just curious, is it possible to have that like announced every now and then on the radio or even on the newspaper?
Oh, yeah.
Just to bring it up so that people, we are having a lot of new people in town and others may just brush it off or whatever.
Sure, we can.
Just to
certainly
bring them
do
up-
it.
up to-
You know, what I recommend is reaching out to Jennifer, because she does monthly BSAs and they might even highlight the keeping animals section. They do it every month. They do different topics. I think that might be.
I
one
bet
they'd
she'll
be
work it in
interested
there, yeah.
Patsy
That's a good
helps
idea.
write the radio announcements and they do it every month, so I'd recommend that.
Sounds good. All right, and so the only comment I was gonna have was that when we are looking at that splash pad, to tie that into the pool in some way, so that it kind of looks like one conceived idea instead of an atomized idea, like
Right.
here's a splash pad and here's a pool.
Yeah,
It'd be
we
great
just
if we could.
integrate them.
Exactly. And then parents with kids that they have younger kids, they can watch those while the other kids in the pool or something else. But I think we're early enough in the stages that we have plenty of time to plan
Right.
and come up with good
Yeah.
ideas.
This will recycle the same water, right? Because you know how. am
I
with
believe
water.
so,
Okay.
on the splash pad. We need
Well,
to,
we'll know more about it later.
and I was gonna say, I think Big Bend Parks is reaching
They
out to some
did.
of the vendors.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
think they
okay.
also did some research on it or whatever. I don't know. We need to go back and see
What that is.
yeah, because they did a spill on it sometime back.
Okay, cool.
I would say, I don't think we're gonna get an immediate answer on that, but I believe TK is the new president of BB Parks. So I think she's gonna start attending the meetings. When she does, we could hand that question
Okay.
off and that would be perfect.
Excellent, excellent.
All right, perfect. Then I guess we will seek a motion to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
in a second?
I think.
All in favor, aye?
I-
All right, we're good.
You know, like.